Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Joanne. I'm one of the admission officers. We're just going to give all of our guests a few minutes to just get logged in, but just know that we're here and we are super excited to chat with you about Hamilton today. And if you're interested, we would love to know where you're from. We're zooming in from today. So I'm zooming in from South Utica, New York, which is about 15 minutes away from campus. Hi from Philly. RJ's from Pennsylvania. Santa Barbara, what's up? What's up, New York City? I see you. California. I'm from Boston, so what up, Boston as well? Houston, Texas. I know y'all are feeling the heat. It is a balmy 65 degrees for us today, but we needed it after a couple of days about 88 degrees, so we're feeling good here. What's up, Louisville, Kentucky? Zooming in from Illinois. Yes, 88. It was quite hot on campus, but we loved it. Beautiful day for tours. The campus is green. Super, super luscious. The glens are beautiful this time of year, so we were excited. Chevy Chase, Maryland, I see you. Long Island. Got a lot of people here on the Zoom, so welcome, welcome. What's up, Bronx? So again, we'll just wait about one more minute just for the rest of the guests to join us. But again, if you're interested, you can tell us where you're zooming in from. We would love to know where you are coming in from today. Green Bay, all right. Hi, New Hartford. Hi, Jersey, we see you. Another Jersey friend. From Turkey. Hi from Turkey. Westchester, San Diego, from Tewksbury, Mass. What's up? I'm from Marshfield, so hello. Kingston, Jamaica, hello. Colorado. We got a great crowd here today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. Welcome to our Student Life College on the Hill panel. My name is Joanne Pluff, and I'm an Associate Dean of Admission here at Hamilton, and I'll also be serving as the moderator for this evening's discussion. So I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, and of course, our wonderful panelists, who we will introduce in just a moment. But first and foremost, I want to thank you so much for taking your time out on a Tuesday to chat with us today. We know that the community and campus life are so important, and we are hoping that this will help you get some information and assist your college search project. So I'd love to tell you a little bit more about our inclusive community. So we will go ahead and get started with introductions. So like I said, my name is Joanne Pluff, Associate Dean of Admission. My pronouns are she, her. And let's go ahead and introduce our panelists. So Travis, can you do your introduction, please?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Travis Hill. I use he, him pronouns, and my title is Associate Dean of Students for Student Engagement, which is many words, but ultimately means that I work closely with students who are looking to get engaged outside the classroom.
Awesome. Sam.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sam. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a senior at Hamilton College and currently working as a senior admissions fellow as well. I'm from New York City. My major is government and my minor is law and jurisprudence. And on campus, I am involved in SMART, which is a sexual assault awareness and advocacy organization, as well as Greek life.
Thank you. Crystal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Crystal Lynn, go by she, her, hers. I am also a senior at Hamilton College, majoring in biochemistry and Chinese. What else? Oh, involvement on campus. I do research on campus. I also play ultimate frisbee on campus. I'm in an aquaponics club, and I do a variety of little things too. So.
Awesome. RJ.
Hi, I'm RJ. I'm from Allentown, Pennsylvania. I'm going to be a senior at Hamilton. I'm also working as admissions fellow. I'm majoring in biochemistry and I'm pre-med. I also play lacrosse at Hamilton.
Thank you. And Yassine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yassine. I'm from Tunisia. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a rising sophomore here at Hamilton. My major is computer science. Some of the things I'm involved with on campus, I'm currently doing research with the computer science department. I'm also part of the club soccer team, and I'm part of a club called Humans of Hamilton. And I take some of the photos you guys see on Hamilton's Instagram account.
Awesome. So we prepared some questions, of course, but if there's a question that sparks your interest throughout our discussion or you would like the students to answer live, just go ahead and add them right into the mix. My colleague, Jack, is handling the chat, but we will take a look at the Q&A, and if something comes up, just feel free to put it forward and we'll see if we can answer that for you. So let's just jump right in. So I'd love all of the students to answer this question, and we will start with Crystal. So what drew you to Hamilton?
Great question. So I lived in Utica for a big chunk of my life, and I mean, Hamilton is not too far away, like a 15-20 minute drive. So for me, it was convenient. I'm also a first generation college student. So for me, financially, Hamilton College offered me the best financial package. But during my college search, I think I started to figure out that I liked small liberal arts schools with a smaller student to professor ratio. And, after taking classes, I realized that that is a really good fit for me. And as I'm looking into grad school and continuing my education post Hamilton, I will also be looking for something similar where it's like a small environment and stuff. But a lot of the gems I didn't really realize until I started my 4 years at Hamilton. So I think I made a good choice.
Awesome. Sam, what about you? What drew you to Hamilton?
Sure. So I'm a transfer student and I spent my first year at kind of a big university. And I knew that going through the process the second time, I definitely wanted an environment that had a really tight-knit community and where I could feel like I was really known and needed by my peers, my teachers, like I had a lot of support. And so touring a lot of the small liberal arts schools, I felt that I fit in really well at Hamilton, and coming on campus, I immediately you look around and see people smiling a lot. And I always feel like that's a really good sign. So that ended up being what drew me to Hamilton specifically.
Awesome. RJ, why don't you go?
Hi. At first, Hamilton wasn't really on my radar, but I started to look into like schools that open curriculums. And because I really didn't know what I wanted to do yet. I knew I liked science. I didn't know what kind of science. I didn't know what I wanted to do with science yet. And so I discovered Hamilton. It was somewhat close to me, and it was a perfect size because I came from a relatively large high school. I didn't want anything bigger than about 2,000 kids. So Hamilton really fit that description. And I visited campus, and similarly to Sam, I walked around and saw everybody was happy. Everybody was smiling. My tour guide in particular, every like 10 feet, he would say hello to somebody else. And that's when I kind of realized it was a very small community, a very tight-knit community. That's exactly what I wanted. So.
Awesome. Yassine, why don't you share with us how you happened upon Hamilton? I'm sure your journey was a little bit different.
Yeah. So funny enough, Hamilton ended up being the only school I applied to. I had a very big list, but then I applied Hamilton ED and it just dominated the list, to be completely honest. So I would say primarily it was what I heard about Hamilton. And like when you talk to other students that are your friends that are like they were from my country, so they will tell you the absolute truth about what a place is. And what I heard from them made me realize this is where I want to be. Even the smallest interactions with the admissions team before I came here, I mean, it was a very difficult year coming here. So, man, it was having that like people just care about you before you come here and when you're here. It's I'm a tour guide, so I say this I feel like the entire experience here at Hamilton is tailored for you, whether it's academics or like social life. And yeah, it's just the little interactions and the relationships you form with the people here, like the admission officer that helped me get here. Her name is Anna, and like I felt so happy when I saw her on campus after almost a year of just like communicating with her via email and everything. But yeah, I would say this was the perfect fit for me.
Awesome. So Travis, I'd like to talk to you about how you happened upon Hamilton. I believe you've been here for a few years. So tell me what drew you to this community.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going into year 19, actually. So a few is very kind of you. Yeah. I've been around the block a time or two.
I
And
believe Justine possibly is 18 or 19. So let's just
exactly.
put that all into perspective for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. I crossed that threshold this past year. And for me, I was coming straight out of graduate school, and I had actually gone to an undergraduate institution that was small private liberal arts as well. And I was really, after having gone to a larger state institution for graduate school, looking for that type of experience again. And I sat down with Hamilton students and found them to be so engaging and so intelligent. And it just felt like a staff meeting, which was kind of my experience at the time. It just felt like home. And I didn't intend to stay here for 19 years. I was going to do, 3 years and move on to the next opportunity. And 19 years later, I'm still here, and I'm very thankful for it.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing that with us. So I'm going to just direct this one towards the students, and then Travis, you and I can weigh in. But we want to just talk a little bit about our open curriculum. So I think it's one of the huge differences between us and some schools you may be looking at. Can you all just talk a little bit about what that means to you, and how have you engaged with the open curriculum? So let's start with Crystal.
Open curriculum. So I think it's like I'm still pre-med. So I came into Hamilton doing pre-med. So with that track, kind of, it's not an official track, but I was able to take classes, outside of my sort of discipline, being biochemistry and Chinese. So I've taken classes. I've taken a women's gender study class. I've taken a few literature classes. With open curriculum, it really got me into understanding film and taken a few film classes, which is also pretty interesting. Last semester, I took a modern Japan course where half the course we're watching anime. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think just taking different classes. Even within STEM itself, like I've taken a lot of chemistry classes and of course, very specific upper level chemistry classes, but also in biology and different, there's a lot of interdisciplinary classes, I would say, that are open for a lot of students. And majority of it, you don't really need a lot of prerequisites. So it really opened the door for someone to sort of be well-rounded and know a little tidbits of knowledge in different fields, which I think is very valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a first year student, Justine, this is your first year kind of interacting with open curriculum. Can you share a little bit about, your journey over the last year, or your process of selecting courses?
Yeah. Well, first thing about the open curriculum is that I think it's very important that you have someone to guide you. So you're not out there like alone navigating the whole thing. So I was assigned an advisor. And before I even flew to the US, my advisor would have Zoom calls with me just to like talk about how my classes are going to look, how my schedule is going to look. And yeah, so the open curriculum for me as a first year student, it was a chance to experiment basically, to see what I wanted to do. Like coming here, I knew I wanted to be a computer science major, but I didn't know what else I wanted to do. So I was taking econ, I was taking international relations, and honestly, I don't regret that because I ended up taking another world politics class, even though I thought of myself to be like a STEM person, but now I'm taking these writing intensive classes in world government, world politics, and I'm also taking a Japanese class next year because I wanted to learn a language. So it's really a chance to experiment and discover more about what you like, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And Yassine, you bring up a great point about academic advising, which was the next thing on my list. So great segue for that. So know that as first year students, you'll have access to an Alex advisor. So your Alex advisor is going to be your bridge to experiential learning, classroom experiences, out of the classroom experiences, study abroad, support system. So it's just another way that our campus is committed to make sure that you can navigate the open curriculum well, but also you're connecting with the right people on campus. Our students have a pre-major advisor and your Alex advisor. Your Alex advisor will be with you all 4 years, a step of the way. It's like a wraparound service, like a big bear hug that will bring in your advisor, bring in your internship. It's just going to be an amazing experience that our students can utilize. So something I think is really important and a lot of students are looking for with these smaller liberal arts colleges is the relationship with faculty. So RJ, can you talk a little bit about your relationships with faculty members on campus?
Sure. So I've become really close to one of my biochemistry professors since freshman year. On a whim, I took a class I never really heard of called bioinformatics. And it was a very small class, maybe like 16 kids. And I became really good friends with this professor who I ended up doing research with, who then became my academic advisor. And I had it again for 3 other classes. And so I've become really close to this professor, and he's helped me through not only my actual classes, but helped me organize my studying for my MCATs and helped me look into grad schools as an option for me after college, and has really just been an outlet there for me. Even if I just need to talk to him on like a Tuesday night, he's always there for me, willing to schedule a meeting and talk about things. I've had plenty of discussions with him about stuff that completely unrelated to academics too. And he's really helped me be someone consistent throughout all 3 of those years and classes that I can go to as a resource for academics or anything personal too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will say, and I'm sure Travis can attest, that the personal relationships that our students have with faculty, those, conversations outside of school and cell phone number having, those are not stories that are few and far between. Our students have such great access to the faculty because we are a school of only undergraduate degrees. They're not competing with other researchers on campus. They're supporting each other and getting involved in the research opportunities that they wish to be involved with on campus, which is amazing. So Travis, I'm going to ask you this question. Obviously it's been an interesting year here in higher ed, but can you first talk about how our school supports students outside of the classroom, so maybe student services, and how did this change during COVID when students were both remote and in person?
Sure, it's a great question. It's a very fair question. So my initial answer is we're here for all of it. In a typical year, we're here for all of it. You should anticipate that over the course of 4 years, there'll be ups and downs. That's a natural part of going through a challenging experience and helping yourself learn and grow. But we have folks here to support you in the best of times and in the moments where you might stumble and need some additional support. No one really anticipated what that would look like in the last year, of course. So over the course of the last year, as has been everyone's experience, we've all had to reinvent the way that we do things, and that is certainly the case for our student support services. So for students who are on campus or off campus, looking at avenues to do things in hybrid and virtual ways, looking for ways to create meaningful engagement with students, whether that is involving students who are remote by having a resident student advisor, somebody who serves kind of a resident advisor role for students who are remote, as well as looking for every opportunity to bring students together in person to the degree possible. And thankfully, as the year went on, things kind of loosened up and we had more and more opportunities to do things in person and really get to engage with one another. And so I hope our students that are on the panel have found that to be the case in their experience. But really, we're always here to support students in any aspect, whether it's ways to get engaged in new and different ways, delving deeper into things that you've already been passionate about, and also just to support you if things get tricky along the way.
Absolutely. And RJ, just as a follow-up, just thinking about athletics, like how did you engage with your team? I know for quite a few months we didn't know what was going to happen, but what did you all do to become a team, to become that tight-knit community within our community?
It was really challenging because we had a group of guys on campus. We had guys taking the semester off. We had some guys taking the entire year off. Some kids taking the semester off, but in classes. Some kids that we're just gonna, it was an amalgamation of different kids doing different things. And our coach was really awesome about supporting us throughout whatever we needed. Whatever we decided to do, he was there to support us because these were unprecedented times. And we stayed in contact with the kids off campus through Zoom calls. And personally, like I still had class with two of the kids two of my teammates who were off campus. One was in Florida, and then the other one was in, I think it was in Charleston. And so I would still see my teammates every week through Zoom classes for, I think it was biochemistry. And so it was a really nice way to connect with them through that. And we stayed in contact too. And I actually visited two of my friends after we got out this spring and saw them. And I'm seeing another two come this summer. And so we stayed in contact through each other with the help of our coach and honestly school too. So it was a tough time, but I'm glad we all stayed together. And the freshmen especially, I really enjoyed seeing on campus. And it was really nice for, the juniors and seniors to be able to help the freshmen through these hard times. So
absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure that it was a challenge, but I can say, from personal experience, just when things started opening up and even in the fall, seeing the outdoor gym, seeing yoga on the turf after lacrosse practice and seeing 200 to 300 students going down to the turf or just utilizing any of the outdoor activity spaces was amazing. And, Travis, kudos to you and your team for taking care of that for our students, because we know that they really needed other outlets in addition to academics. So Yassine, just as an additional follow-up to my follow-up, you had an atypical year, but let's talk about how did you find your community in such an atypical year?
Well, I remember my first week in here, and I arrived to a residence hall where everyone else already had their rooms. They were there for a semester already. But it all started with my roommate, because my roommate came in January the same way I did. And he was an international student from China. So that was the first person I met here. And we were really close because we were going through the exact same thing. But I did know some people. I didn't meet them physically, but I did know people before I came there because I got to meet them through different events, different Zoom calls. So in some sort of way, I already had people waiting for me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then honestly, it just started in my residence hall. I started meeting people on my floor. It was the first weekend for me at college, and we were just doing something in the common room. I met people there. Then classes started, and I started meeting new people, getting involved in clubs. We get emails about different clubs all the time. So I just shot my shot and tried to get into some clubs, and that worked out. Also, I knew I wanted to take pictures in any possible way. So I emailed the marketing team, and they found me a position as a digital media intern. And then I met all the people that worked there, the photographers. So it's really, I met people naturally, but also met people through the stuff that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very good balance. But yeah, honestly, it wasn't really that hard, even though it was a weird year, but everyone was in the same boat. So everyone needed to make friends and everyone wanted to meet new people. So it wasn't really that difficult.
Right, for sure. Something that Yassine brought up is our orientation program, which I would say is probably one of the best of the best. And we are very proud of the opportunities that we provide our students leading up to class. So as the orientation, I would say more expert, Travis, can you just give us a huge rundown about the orientation process for first year students?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's really great about our orientation is that in addition to kind of the traditional campus orientation where you do a tour of campus and hear about important topics and kind of get your feet under you, prior to that, all students have the opportunity to do some sort of trip together, whether that is a service-oriented trip in the Utica area or beyond. That could be an Adirondack trip that involves the wilderness and camping and things of that nature, or interest-based trips. So it could be based on music or theater or history or any number of other options. So there's a wide range of opportunities to find something that really kind of fits your interests, or an area that you might be more interested in exploring for the first time. But it's an experiential opportunity where you will be with a small group of new students and some upper class student leaders who will guide you through that experience over a handful of days. And then you'll return to campus with the entire class and then spend that kind of more traditional handful of days to get you situated and ready to start your courses.
Yeah, and so how many options do students have to choose from for your orientation trip?
It's a good question. From year to year, it varies, but it's in the 50, 60 range.
Yeah.
Opportunity. So lots and lots of variety to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I hear from the students, orientation leads to lifelong friendships, leadership opportunities, and such. So Sam, I'll say to you, because you're transferring in, how did you find your people on campus? Like, what did you do? I know you're in some clubs, but how did you find your squad?
Yeah, absolutely. So coming into a new school environment, I had anticipated it being a lot harder than it was, honestly. I think the beauty of orientation trips is that you are spending a couple days with people that you might not have otherwise gotten to know or interact with. And from that, it kind of branches off into all of these different friendships, all these different opportunities. One person will invite you to one sort of like club meeting that you might not have thought about attending. So it happens very organically, but there are also a lot of ways that you can be proactive about it too, which helped me personally, like joining a lot of clubs, even if it was something that I might not have been particularly interested, trying things that were new to me, helped me to meet a lot of people. And I think something that is unique to Hamilton that kind of reaffirmed that I made the right decision when I came was you would go up to people and say, hey, I'm a transfer student, I'm new here. Be like, oh my God, let's get lunch. Like, let me tell you about the campus. Let me show you around. And so people are very warm and welcoming and genuinely want to get to know you. And that makes the transition very easy.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that's like a huge thing on our minds. You spend all 12 years of high school with the same amount of people, and it's tough to go it alone, but luckily our community is very welcoming. And you'll find that it's easier to make friends, but you do have to take some steps outside your door to take advantage of the opportunities that we have here on campus. So we'll switch gears just a little bit to talk about some experiential learning. So I know almost every single student on campus, I believe it's 98% of our students have had at least one internship on campus throughout their years, or they've done some service through the Levitt, or they've done research. So the offerings definitely were a little bit more limited during COVID. But for those of you who have done research or are doing research, can you tell us a little bit about your research opportunities? Not all at once.
I can definitely start. Yes, so I got offered a research position during last semester by one of the computer science professors here. And the cool thing about it was that it wasn't my professor, so I didn't know the professor, but I was doing well in a class. So my professor suggested that I would do research with another professor. So yeah, and that's the cool thing about like being friends with your professors. They will help you. But yeah, so I started doing research. Right now, this is week 6, I think, out of 8 weeks of research. We're doing different projects, and the ultimate goal is to basically publish as many papers as possible. It's really good. Research varies from department to another. Like I go through the science center sometimes, I see people in labs. That's the really like fun research. For us, it's a very relaxed experience. We do our work and we meet like every day basically. And because it's all we need is computers, we can meet like outside when the weather is nice. Lately it hasn't been nice. But yeah, so we do all kinds of projects. We speak with our professor all the time, whether virtually or in person. And basically, it's me and another student. We're working on projects together. And as soon as we're done, one of us writes the paper. Professor looks at it. And if it's good enough, we try to publish it.
It's amazing. So it's as easy as that.
It is honestly, I was surprised how easy it was to get into research. I honestly was surprised, but you know what? I'll take it.
Of course. Sam, do you have something you want to add?
Sure. I always get really excited to talk about this whenever research opportunities come up. But my sophomore spring, I was part of a pilot program called the Law and Justice Lab, in which we worked side by side with community officials at the Utica City Court, Utica PD, to kind of look at their systems and think critically about what we can change, what we can improve upon. And then we conducted original research. And my particular topic was the human trafficking intervention courts. And the research that I was able to publish with my professor through that course ended up catching the attention of the Manhattan District Attorney. And that led to me landing a job there. And all these like amazing career opportunities opened up. And I was able to keep doing research with that same professor. So I think there are like incredible research opportunities at Hamilton, and the professors, since there's no graduate students, will give you all of their time and all of their attention, and you get these really incredible opportunities to pursue things that you really care about and get great attention and support along the way.
Awesome. So Manhattan, huh?
Manhattan.
Well done.
New York City, baby.
RJ?
Yeah, so I've done research on campus and off campus, both kind of through Hamilton. In that same freshman spring class in bioinformatics, the professor was at the end of the day was just talking about how he needed someone to do research and like asked the class, he's like, yeah, does nobody want to do it? Just raise your hand. And so I just raised my hand. He's like, okay, I'll see you in lab Tuesday. I'm like, okay, cool. It was that easy. And I've been doing research with him for 2 years now since. It's been awesome. And off campus then, I actually used the Hamilton alumni directory through LinkedIn and then through the Career Center to network last summer during COVID because I had my internships and my shadowing canceled. And I started cold calling and cold emailing people. By the 7th one, I had an internship.
Wow.
And so it took me less than 2 weeks to get something through the network through Hamilton. It took me a single class, random class to get one on campus. It was super easy, and both internships were awesome.
That's excellent. Really amazing stuff.
Time for another one.
Yeah, go Crystal. We love research. Let's hear.
We all love research. I think that's the topic that gets everyone excited. I've done a few myself too. So my first ever research on campus was a volunteer that I took it was like a disease ecology class my first year. And then I just, asked my professor. She was like, anyone want to take care of birds over the summer? And I was like, okay, sure. I live in Utica, which is not too bad. So for that, my first summer, I measured bird in Rome, New York. And it was a great experience, but told me that I can't do field research or probably don't see it as a career. But it was really, really, really fun. So if anyone's interested, send me an email. I can talk all day about it. And then sophomore year, I started doing research, I guess, during the semester. So you can do research for credit, and you can get the amount of credit depending on how much time you want to put in the lab. Last semester, I've done research in an organic synthesis lab, as well as a molecular biology lab at the same time, which was challenging, but you sort of have a taste of different type of research opportunities. From there, I've done, right now I am doing for the summer a Levitt Center research, which is our topics on Asian American representation on campus, as well as different aspects that we want to tackle. Hopefully our aims, preview for our project, is to create a website for students where we, hub different things. We might be doing some podcasting, maybe a screencast. So a lot of different things. We're working with 3 different professors in various fields, which I think was really amazing. Still working on that for this summer. And you also get paid too for summer research. you do get paid. So I get paid for it, love it. Right now I'm doing research off campus, but I was offered an on-campus research opportunity, but I found this off-campus research and I applied last winter break, and it was a long process. It's like applying to colleges. I applied to like 15 research stuff off campus. But ultimately got into a lab, and I'm on my week 4 on doing research in structural biology and doing some X-ray crystallography stuff, which I think was pretty cool. So a lot of on and off campus opportunities, which I think if you go to a career center, if you want to find other internships you're interested in, you can also do that as well. Just to tackle someone from the chat, I think I saw whether or not you can get your things published, research published. I think it depends on your professor and how much you want to get done. Publication is a really big deal, and it takes a lot of effort, and depending on, you know, your professor, and just find a good mentor, but definitely possible.
Awesome. Thank you all for that robust discussion about research. I think it's really important, and it's definitely on the top of our students' minds that are applying. So thank you all. One last sort of more academic course. Sam, favorite course at Hamilton and why?
I hesitate to say the Law and Justice Clinic again, but it really was my favorite. I think just getting the opportunity to conduct research as an undergraduate, like Crystal said, is such a huge and rare thing, but also the idea that it is shaped around, or was shaped around, and hopefully will continue to be if the program comes back after COVID, which fingers crossed, is centered around helping your community, I think is so important as well. And through that, I was able to meet Professor Anna Carrico, who is now kind of my mentor and is helping me apply to law schools and things like that. And we've become really close. So I think that will definitely go down as my favorite course.
Awesome. Yassine, favorite course thus far?
My favorite course is, without question, International Relations with Professor Kira Jume. She is also has taken up the role of my mentor, spiritual mentor. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite course because she's a professor that has been places. She lived in Morocco, so she knows the culture. She knows what it feels like to be international. And her class was very like discussion based, and she always made sure, because I was the only international student in the class, she always made sure I had a voice, and she always made sure that everyone understood where I came from, like with my like answers, my thoughts and everything. And yeah, I'm honestly very grateful for that, and that is by far my favorite class.
Very cool. RJ, favorite class?
It was it might have been a 3-class interdisciplinary course. It was called Historical Sites of Divine Encounter. I took it this past spring, and it involved art history, religious studies, and anthro. And so it was it was a little bit of classics too, but I don't think they counted it as that. But it was a really cool class that made me think really critically about, you know, architecture and space and how it facilitates certain feelings and how it can be symbolic of things. And instead of looking at, you know, analyzing a text or a movie, I was looking at architecture, and it was a really interesting and cool way for me to kind of get away from chemistry for a little while and think about something else in a more abstract manner. And I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Crystal, favorite class?
Honestly, a lot of my classes are my favorite class. But outside of the, you know, general open curriculum thing, a class that I really appreciate and that I have taken is called Organic Synthesis Towards Human Health. The class where I was able to write a mock NIH proposal and gave me a lot of the skills that I needed and helped me explore different fields that I want to go into with biochemistry, and ultimately helped me land in this summer research. So that's a class that I really appreciated to have taken.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about our location. So I would say I'm pretty biased. I've lived in this area for quite a few years. We're situated about 4 hours from New York City, from Boston, from Montreal. We're at the foothills of the Adirondacks, which our students definitely take advantage of. We have so much culture opportunities with Syracuse nearby, the city of Utica. So RJ, I know you're coming from Pennsylvania, but can you speak to life here in Clinton, New York?
Sure. So I'm from a very rural part of Pennsylvania on the eastern part, in like Lehigh Valley, Allentown area. And Clinton honestly reminds me a lot of home. It's very rural, small towns, scattered. Like there's a Target and a shopping mall, all you need 10, 15 minutes away. Very similar to what I'm used to at home. I have Wegmans at home too, and we have them up here too. And so it was very familiar for me. The cornfields, the rolling hills, it was very, very, very familiar for me. And I really enjoy campus because it's everything I need is really within 10, 15 minutes. And I'm lucky enough, I had a car my sophomore and junior year, but even without that, my freshman year, my friend got I think it was a zip car on campus by Sadov. And he and I would make like little routine trips every Wednesday night. We'd go to Target and just get random things that we needed. And it was a really fun time. And downtown in actual Clinton, it's like a 10, 15-minute walk. And I would walk down with my friends, get coffee Saturday, Sunday morning. Sometimes it was really nice. There's a really good cheese place there actually too. I used to grab stuff from. Yeah. And so there's plenty of stuff to do around there.
So Crystal, your view is a little bit different because you're from the city of Utica. So tell me some advantages of being in Clinton and having access to the city of Utica.
So yes, but I still think that even though I lived in Utica for a while, it wasn't until I came to Hamilton and having to walk outside to go to classes that I actually felt that winter is actually really cold up here. But I adjusted pretty quickly. I do enjoy the winter. I started running. The first time I ran last semester was out in a blizzard, and it was really, really great. But I think the advantages is, it's definitely for different people. If you're a very city person, it might take you a little bit to adjust. Honestly, I think there's a lot of perks of, going to small businesses and just a small town. There's places that are quiet. There's always, places for me to go biking. Honestly, I don't think of it as rural because a lot of places you need to go is drive distance. And sometimes even walking. We have a jitney service on campus where we can go to different places. I think not last semester, but a few semesters ago, we offered jitneys to Utica over the weekend. So sometimes my friends and I would go to Utica for pho and different restaurants. But I think overall, it's not a bad place to be in. You'll be quite shocked that sometimes, you would want to stay on campus because there are already a lot of events and stuff happening every week. So there's always going to be food and giveaways and a lot of student held events and club events and activities late night that you don't even need to really go off campus. So, yeah.
Sam, do you have anything to add about accessing the local area? I know your internship allowed you to get out and about, but anything else you wanted to add?
I think they really covered it. Just, that you're going to end up staying on campus, I guess, more than you would think, because just everything is there. And by virtue of the fact that everyone lives on campus, the community is very central in that way. But at the same time, I really encourage people to explore the areas around Hamilton. Like Crystal mentioned, there's a great pho place in Utica and lots of great restaurants to check out. And it's a fun area.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about living on campus. Travis, I know that is your department. Any tips for incoming students about residence life, what they should expect?
Yeah, I started in res life and I've kind of worked my way up through there. So I certainly have a love for it. And we're a residential college for a reason. Sam just spoke to it. There's something to be said for spending your time in college 24/7 with a group of people who are like-minded, looking for a similar type of educational experience. And at the same time, the wonderful part is that you're surrounded by people who have different lived experiences, different identities. You really have the opportunity to get to know one another in great depth, whether it's on a Tuesday morning grabbing coffee or a Friday night socializing and everything in between, there's an opportunity to get to know one another. I will say that I've always known the depth of relationship that's been created by the residential experience at Hamilton College has been significant, but to see the number of students that came to campus in a pandemic year because they didn't want to miss the opportunity to be in person, certainly with their faculty, and I don't mean any disrespect to my faculty colleagues, but when you ask students, mostly they said they miss their friends. And those opportunities to be with each other day, night, weekday, weekend, that's really what this experience is about. And the residence halls are the centerpiece of that.
Absolutely. So as a first year student, Yassine, what was your experience in the residence hall?
It was very fun. My first semester, I lived in a residence hall called Major, and you would recognize it by like the big glass panels and everything. I really liked it there. I enjoyed the people who lived on my floor, because a lot of them, so all of them were first year students like me, and that's a very I think is a very important thing, because you're going through this experience of discovering college together basically, and you're learning from each other. But we also did fun stuff because of like some COVID restrictions. That was my group basically. That's where I spent like my weekends. Those are the people I did all my activities were with. So we figured it out. We did things together. We played games, we watched movies. So yeah, I really love the residential life here. It's definitely something special, very special. And I love the fact that everyone is on campus, because that makes it a really like centralized experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Travis, can you talk just quickly about some RA programming?
Sure. Yeah, every floor has a resident advisor, and that is an upper class student that's there to support our students through anything. So if in the middle of the night you need support, they're there. If you just need an upper class student to bounce an idea off of, or to ask, who's good to take a class with, or how do I get to this building? I mean, that's when you first started college, that's one of the big things. It's like everybody wants to not want to seem like they don't know what they're doing, but also PS, kind of nobody knows what they're doing. So this is a person you can go to and say, I have a class in Root. There are 45 buildings that have the name Root on it. I'm not really sure which one it is, and they can help you out. In addition to that, they create opportunities for students to come together, whether that's around food or an opportunity to learn about something, or just to get to know one another better. So they facilitate programming in the residence halls, or even take you out of the residence halls to grab a meal together, or to go see a program or a speaker elsewhere on campus.
Awesome. So something I think a lot of students are like thinking about is, how do you all spend your weekends? What do you do on the weekend? Crystal, why don't you go?
You saw me smiling. Honestly, I typically take 5 classes, so a lot of work to do over the weekends. But I do manage to find a lot of sort of break times, you kind of have to like schedule that in. So surprisingly, I schedule those times more often last semester. Despite COVID, we had bike rentals in the Glen house, so I would rent a bike with my friends every Saturday, and we would go out biking around Hamilton, and it's a few miles, and it was really great. And then last semester I also started playing badminton in one of the facilities and with friends, and it was really nice. You can socially distance while doing some workout and stuff, which I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, most of my time I spent in my room or in the library. There's a lot of great places to study, and they also have, food truck last semester on Fridays. So yeah, you'll see me in line at like 5 o'clock waiting for waiting for food. But yeah, that's a typical. There's also events happening all the time as well. So like bingo nights and other student activity stuff. Talking about bingo night, there's bingo night tomorrow, hosted by DMC that I
Yep,
am
saw
going
that.
to. They always give out free stuff and gift cards. That's the place you go.
Travis, can you touch a little bit about the outdoor leadership opportunities?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool opportunities if you're interested in the outdoors, or if you've just never really had access to opportunities. You can take trips with the outing club in a typical year. That can involve things related to climbing. It can involve canoeing or kayaking, hiking, things of that nature. There's camping. Over the last year, when we were on campus, they created kind of a practice tent site on campus, and I worked directly with outdoor leadership, and I spent an awkward amount of time talking about an outhouse. So, things I got a master's degree for. And so, yeah, we look for opportunities on and off campus to give students the opportunity to really appreciate the outdoors and to learn and grow as it relates to nature, and to just appreciate all weather. My colleague Andrew Gillings will say, there's no bad weather, there's just bad gear. So we have the gear to loan out to you if you want to brave the cold, or to, borrow a bike, or any number of opportunities. So we have equipment and experiences available to you.
And we're talking like even down to boots, coats, sleeping bags. They will outfit you for whatever experience you will have that week or that day.
And if you don't want to go outside, we have an indoor climbing wall. We have all kinds of fun stuff.
Absolutely. Yassine, this actually came through the Q&A, and I think it's an important question, something that students want to know. Was it hard adjusting to a new country, language, and culture coming from a completely different country?
Well, the short answer was no, because of, I'm pretty sure if I wasn't here surrounded by my friends and like all the faculty members, it would be hard, because I know like some of my friends from back home, they went international, but then they studied in Europe, and in Europe you're just out there on your own basically. So it was really hard for them to adjust. But for me, it wasn't hard because everybody around me knew what I was going through. Everybody knew the kind of experience that I was going through. So I have my friends, my professors, and most importantly, the international community here to thank for that, because the international community here is really like close. And basically you have all these upperclassmen international students. They run the ICA, which is the International Association for Students, for international students, and they host all sort of events. And then at the end of the semester, we started doing talks. So we would like meet somewhere and just like talk about any like topic that we choose. And no, it wasn't hard. Even like the cultural, there might be some sort of a cultural shock coming here, but it's the way people here handle it. They make it a lot easier basically. And I've never been reminded that I wasn't like from around here, for example, or I always felt welcomed, and I always felt like I lived with these people for a long, long time. So to be honest, no, don't worry about that at all.
Thank you, Yassine. We appreciate that answer. Just one that I'm sure that a lot of other students are asking as well, which one that came in the chat is, so what is diversity like on campus? And I'm going to put it out there. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Travis, you're welcome to answer that as well.
I'll jump in and give people the chance to think about their thoughts if they want to, but I've been here long enough to have predated our financial aid practices, where we are need blind and meet full financial need. And in that choice to become an institution of access in the way that really only dozens of schools in the nation are able to do, the diversity on campus, whether it be socioeconomic, racial, or any other category, has increased dramatically. it is noticeable how much more diversity that we have than we did when I first started here. And it is a great point of pride, and it is something that we are continuing to focus on to grow and to make sure that the culture and the institutional support around that diversity is done in a way that's equitable and inclusive. And that is something that we are very committed to from top to bottom. It's not to say it's not a challenge, because of course it is, but it's also something that is a great opportunity for all of our members of our community to have great access to one another and to learn from one another. Something I'm really proud of.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to add to that? Yassine, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of the concerns I had coming here, because I mean, I was thinking to myself, so this is a campus in upstate New York. How diverse could it be? But honestly, I was very surprised. I can speak about the international students. I can speak about people of color in here at this college, and honestly, I like to give props when props is due. I think personally, I do think the college is doing a good job of making sure everyone feels included, not just with admissions, but also when you're on campus, all the clubs, all the associations, all of the resources available. They make sure that people feel welcomed. And yeah, I would say, I mean, we can always do better. We can always strive to do better, but I feel like the college is on the right track when it comes to diversity and inclusion.
Absolutely. So I have one question for all of you students, and then we're going to do a lightning round of a series of like 5 questions, super fast, 1-word answers. So think about your lasting piece of advice. These students are entering the college search process. What would you tell them, Crystal?
Think about small factors, like how I think about it. Like, do you like bigger, small school? How would you describe your high school experience, and whether or not you want to translate that to kind of a college experience? Reach out to people, whether it is current students or alumni or even faculty, to talk about their experiences and opportunities on campus. Don't be afraid. I think a lot of the time you have this fear, not just the application, but also stepping your foot into college. You kind of get used to it, and it's just like a learning curve. I mean, me going out my way I'm in Minnesota right now, so living all by myself as the first time, we all have moments where we're like, okay, like we're kind of becoming adult and it's like new to me. There's always some sort of shock. But you kind of get used to it, and college is definitely the first step, and Hamilton makes it really easy for you to transition.
Awesome. RJ, what's your advice?
It's gonna be kind of abstract, but vibe. Like when you show up to campus, well, first of all, I'm a big proponent of visiting campuses, meeting the people, meeting the professors, sitting in the class, talking to actual students who go there, and seeing what the school is like from the people who actually go there. Because in I through the college recruiting process, I was at 20, 30 schools just trying to figure out what I liked. And I could never really make a good guess of what the school's like until I stepped foot on campus or met someone who actually went there. And so a big thing for me was, picking, like I would try and summarize the school in like 2 or 3 words after visiting there, talking to people, going to a class, doing it overnight, staying in the area for the night, seeing what was around there. And if you could summarize the school in 3 words, then you've actually put in the work to pick up the vibe of the school and the students and the faculty and the classes. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me.
Awesome. Sam?
Sure. As someone who's kind of gone through the process twice, and I guess in particular, looking back at this year, I think everyone is keenly aware of how stressful this process can be. And if you can, try and take a deep breath, because everyone I know, whether it was on the first try or the second, ends up where they're supposed to be. And so if you're not trying to force yourself into a specific mold, if you're really just kind of, like RJ said, going with your gut, going with the vibes that you're getting on campus, going with your initial reactions and really trusting yourself, you're going to end up at the right place.
Thank you. Love that. Yassine?
My advice would be to be honest with yourself and what you're looking for, what kind of experience you're looking for out of college, basically. So if you want somewhere where academics are good, but also it's a very close community, people, you get to know people, you get more of a chance to form really like long-lasting friendships. Yeah, honestly, if a big school is not like your thing, just be honest with yourself. Like, what do you want out of college? Because it's a commitment. It's 4 years of your life. So yeah, be honest with yourself, basically.
Awesome. So I have 2 lightning round questions. You get 1 word, don't describe it. We encourage everyone to do research. So y'all ready? Here we go. So Crystal, favorite building on campus?
Science Center. 2 words.
RJ, favorite food?
Steak.
Yassine, favorite thing to do last semester?
Glenn walks.
Sam, 1 person every student should know.
Travis Hill.
Yes. And Travis, favorite campus tradition?
I would say orientation trips.
Ooh, love that. So everyone, we have run out of time. I know we could sit and talk about Hamilton for hours, but we have so many other virtual events for you to join us. So please check out hamilton.edu/discover, and you'll see all the different various aspects of our community that you can engage with. We always upload new content every single week, every other day. So definitely check them out, and know that all of the students on our panel, their contact information is actually listed right on the admission website. So if you want to get in a contact with them, they will definitely love to hear from you, as well as myself and Travis. So it's been a pleasure chatting with you this afternoon. We hope to see you on campus soon if you're able to visit. If not, know that we still have some virtual events for you. So have a great evening, have a great Hamilton day, and we hope to see you in the future. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.